want to give you some tips and tricks and advices, and when I know that I am definitely not the one with the most experience. I can see people that have way more, but I have some, and I would like to share my part with you. And if you want something to use, feel free. We have in Holland, we have this saying, which is beter goed gejat dan slecht verzonnen, which is something like it's better to steal something good than to make up something that's bad. Now to start with something very practical. The difference between teaching contemporary music and early music is in fact not so big. However, there are some things that you will find when you are working on modern music, and one of them is to learn graphic notation and modern techniques. And in my lessons I use all kinds of games. Now here is, for example, two versions of the same game, which is you take dices and you make a card like that, you throw the dice and you make the student play. Or in the other way, you can also play and the student needs to guess which one did they heard. Or you play two of them and which order did they hear them. There is all kinds of ways, small games to start learning already these techniques. Now I think we can learn this from very young age, especially from a very young age, because children, you can use their creativity and their curiosity to use these techniques, and they don't think like 16 and 17-year-olds everything is weird, but they are curious to learn whatever they want to learn. Now here is one game that could be nice. Another game that I made is using all kinds of cards, these cards. Everything, there are two of them, and you can play it like memory, which two are the same, and you can only take the cards, take the point when you know how it's called, or how you need to play it, for example. Another game that you can play with this is to make a line and play, and just try out. And in this way, in a young age, you can start learning all kinds of techniques and notations already. Now here is also a game that is maybe a bit difficult to see. It's based on the Dutch ganzenbord. It works also with dices. You stand on the one and you throw the dice, and this much steps you can do. And there is all kinds of exercises in between. Maybe if you want, you can see it a bit later. Now it's very easy to make all these kinds of things because, well, I only use paper, scissors, a pen. Well, and the only thing I have is this thing to put the plastic around, because I like my work, but I don't want to do the same thing every day. And this way it doesn't break. Now, if you feel you're not very creative, you can use methods, because in every method there are things. These are the newer Dutch methods. You can check them out. It's very nice that they have already these kinds of games in, and when you really do them from the beginning, it's very fun to do with the children, and they are already into it. Now, also from older methods, and I hope I'm not saying bad things now, but for example, blokfluitfeest, it's a Dutch method that is quite old. There are also nice exercises in, so you can also check in the older things to do. Now, when the students know a bit how it works and what they can use, they can play the tremolo, the glissandi, the fluitazzoom, everything. It's a nice exercise to make them write their own piece. Here are two examples. Now this I did with a group of children that they are like the 6 and 7 years old. They only had 1 or 2 lessons about this, and we invented some sounds and we wrote them on the board. And I told them, well, you go and you make your own piece. And they made their own piece, and they came back and they played it for each other, and it was just normal, like a normal piece, and it was not something different than a children's song that they would play from the book. Now, if you get familiar with all the sounds and the techniques, then it would be nice to start the first piece with your student. And I always find it a bit hard, where do you start? And I would say, don't start with a full piece. Start with 1 line, maybe 2 lines, because that is already way hard for them. And also, in the beginning, students, they don't know what they're doing and they're just imitating you. So take a piece that you really are familiar with and you really like to play, because in that way you can also tell them how much you like it, and they will keep and take it from you, this way of playing. Then comes the moment you give them a piece and they come 2 weeks later and they say, I don't like it. And usually I don't like it, it's exactly the same with I find it difficult. They are exchangeable, the two of them. Then there is your job as a teacher to keep up and to not give up and to keep going on. Even if they don't practice at home, it's not important. Just in the lesson start, do 1, 2 lines and keep every time do a line, add 1 line more. Some pieces that I think that are very nice to start with. Now, I said already that it's important to take a piece that you like, because when you like the piece, it's already nicer to speak about it and to teach. So these might not be the easiest pieces that you would play. However, many times students can have a thought about it. Now, it's important to take a piece that you like, but also a piece that fits with your students. So when you have a student that is very much has a very academic way of thinking and a very academic way of working, like you can give it a difficult passage and it will learn it and it will be able to do it because he has this kind of way to study, then working on Ende, for example, is very nice. But if you have someone that likes to sing, then you take a piece like Gentle Walker, because that is with the singing and it can speak to the student more. If you, for example, the Japanese pieces, they are not so difficult in the fingers, but you can spice it up, you can pimp the piece. And that is a very creative thing to do, and many children like it. Now, I would say that there is something very important when you work these kinds of pieces, and it is to work on presentation. For example, because when you want this experience and the first performance of one of those pieces, you want them to be really, really good, so that the student is not thrown away from difficulty. And when you work on the presentation and the presentation is quite good, then it will also show the audience and the student will get back nice comments and they will like it more. For example, what could help in making a good story is, well, to invent one or to find a picture or a photo. When I work on meditation, I ask the student to bring a photo and they always come with the monk in the orange clothing in the Himalaya. They always come with this picture, but it's nice because you can start making a story from that. Like, yeah, but what does he see? What does he hear? What does he think about? Does he see the snow going down in the distance, or does he hear the birds? And you can make the piece more interesting by that. Now, a choreography, I don't mean a step forward and a step back or something, but like when you play Hymne by Hirose, there is, for example, this moment where you play 2 voices with yourself. The one is very soft and the one is very loud. Now, if you use movements in that, it will show the piece more. And that is, by itself, it's nice, but it's also nice because the audience understands better what the student is trying to say and will compliment the student more. Now, there is one small more thing that I would like to say, and it is about teaching the parents and teaching the family. This is my grandma. She died a couple of years ago, and when I started playing modern music, at a certain moment I could play the piece that's called Monologue. And I had to work really hard, and I didn't like it, and my teacher had to push me a bit to go on, and because I didn't dare to sing, and I didn't dare to, I thought it was weird and everything, and she really told me to go on, and after a while I could do it, and I really liked it. And I played it for my grandma, and after the concert she told me, Anneke, I think this composer was drunk. Now, she lived in Rotterdam, and I lived in Friesland, so she was far away, and she didn't influence my musical career so much. But this is something that happens in normal families. When I gave one student, I gave her Ende, and she really liked to play it, and she went home, she came back, and she said, this is not music, I cannot play it, it's ridiculous. But it was not her saying that, it was her father saying that. So we need to teach also the parents, and we need to teach the families, because, well, there are so many old pictures like Nachtwacht and everything, and everyone has a copy in their house. But there are also new pictures for the ears, and we can make them if we tell them how to do it, and then they will learn, their students or their family, and everyone can enjoy the music when they understand.